Hello and welcome to today's exciting live event. We're so excited to see so many of you here with us today. My name is Bec and I'm here in Sydney. I know we're all desperate to get travelling again, and I'm pleased to announce that a few countries in Southeast Asia are open to fully vaccinated Aussies without the need for quarantine on arrival, although only New South Wales, ACT and Victoria can return without quarantine. Now, these destinations are part of our Wendy Wu green list you'll see throughout the presentation. And for the rest of Australia and our fellow Kiwis joining, no date has been set yet, but with the high vaccination rates, 2022 is definitely looking promising. And I am joined by my co-host Paul, who is over in the Auckland office.
Yes, I'd love to be out here on the Mekong. This is our ship, the Victoria Mekong, that I'm sat on, but really I'm in the Auckland office. Thank you so much for joining us today. I feel we've put a really fun, interactive, informative show together. So I do hope you enjoy it. Do bear with us if anything goes wrong. We are totally live, and we do expect that sometimes there are a few glitches. And Bex will be starting off in a minute with a great culinary look through Southeast Asia. We have a great video that our guides and team in Vietnam have put together especially for today's show, which is really great and really nice of them. Once we've gone through the presentation and discovered all those great destinations, Bec will be handing back to me and we will do the big Asia food quiz where there's some great prizes to be done. After that, we'll go through the answers and then we'll have a great question and answer time where you can ask us anything you like about Wendy Wu Tours, and me and Bec and Liz on the chat box will be helping. So if any of you got any questions all the way through today's presentation, just put that in the chat box and we will start answering those either throughout the presentation or at the end. Okay, let's get things rolling. I'm going to hand you back over to Bec. Rebecca, if I've forgotten anything, please do let everybody know.
Absolutely. And can you see my Vietnam screen now? Okay, so now, why are we here to talk about food? Well, one, who doesn't love food? Southeast Asian cuisine is arguably some of the best, healthiest and tastiest in the world. But two, and most importantly, we believe food is part of the experience when traveling, and there is so much that can be learned about a country or region by their food. We've also handpicked some of our top tours in Southeast Asia from our fully inclusive classic range and our more adventurous go beyond range. Now, one of the most popular destinations, Vietnam, which is not quite open for travel yet, but our local team in Hanoi in northern Vietnam have prepared a glimpse of what life looks like in Vietnam right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Lizzie. My team and I make all arrangements for Wendy Wu Tours in Vietnam. I am now at Hoàn Kiếm Lake, the heart of Hanoi capital. It's now beginning of the winter. The weather is very beautiful with light sunshine and cool temperature. We have been through a very hard time due to COVID-19. In Vietnam, we had vaccinated 63.5 million people with at least one COVID-19 vaccine shot, about 2/3 total population, and 32 million people have received 2 shots, 1/3 total population. Vietnam government agrees the roadmap to resume international tourism. From November 2021, the pilot plan will be applied to international tourists who use package tours, charter flights, or international flights to selected areas such as Phú Quốc City, Khánh Hòa, Quảng Nam, Da Nang City, and Quảng Ninh Province. The best time to visit to Vietnam is from October to May, the dry season and also the peak season of Vietnam tourism. You can have the most flexible itinerary and activities thanks to the best weather all around. I introduce you some Vietnamese traditional food that I personally really love. Can you guess? Let's go! Pho is a typical dish for Vietnamese cuisine. Pho is served in a bowl with a specific cut of flat rice noodles in clear beef broth or chicken broth with thin sliced beef or chicken. Beef broth is made using beef bones and chicken broth is made using chicken bones, including some special spices such as cinnamon, anise, roasted ginger, lemongrass. Today we will have beef noodle soup or beef pho. The must-have ingredients are coriander and green onions. You can add fresh chili or chili sauce, a bit of fresh lemon. Mix them all and enjoy it. After breakfast, it's coffee time. Have you ever heard about Vietnamese iced coffee? I will take you to a local coffee shop that is very famous for iced coffee. The coffee is brewed in a small cup, placed in a bowl of hot water to keep its temperature. The main ingredients are egg yolks, sugar, condensed milk, and Robusta coffee. More than a coffee, it tastes like a liquid tiramisu. This is a unique coffee that I personally love the most. So, if you have a chance to travel to Hanoi, do not forget to try a cup of egg coffee. I hope that you enjoy our food tour. Many other tasty foods are waiting for you. We're looking forward to welcoming you back to Vietnam soon. Thank you and see you again.
How amazing is Hanoi? Thanks, Lizzie, for putting that one together for us. It's such a special place in Vietnam. Now, on to our next destination on our foodie adventure. Also in northern Vietnam, you'll find Mai Chau. So it's quite a rural village. Up further north, you'll find Sapa. Here you can find rice paddies as far as the eye can see. So naturally, rice and rice wines are very common in the area, but you'll also find some really delicious grilled meats and barbecue. So on our tours, you'll be welcomed into the village to dine on a delicious barbecue in a local stilt house, washed down with some tasty local rice wine. Traveling to central Vietnam, which is Hoi An and Hue, you'll find that their food is quite hot and spicy in comparison to the north, which is quite mild. Hoi An is one of the best places in Vietnam to learn the art of Vietnamese cuisine because of all the incredible fresh produce that is growing right on its doorstep. So we'll take you to the markets to pick out the very best freshest ingredients before learning how to cook them. Dishes such as grilled fish and beef salad. Down in Saigon, also known as Ho Chi Minh City, you'll find residents are biased towards adding sugar to their food than other regions, so it's quite sweet. They prefer the sweetness because of the coconut, which is found a little bit further south in the Mekong, which is where it's commonly grown. For those more adventurous, and that want to sample all the local cuisine in Saigon, there's no better way to see it than on the back of a scooter. It's not on all of our tours, only on the Go Beyond range, but you can add it on if you want. It's a really brilliant way to see the city, and it has been tried and tested by both myself and Paul. Now, the Mekong area is known as the rice basket of Vietnam. That is because its rich and fertile lands produce a large amount of rice, coconuts, vegetables, and tropical fruit. So along the Mekong, and then when again in Cambodia, you'll be able to jump into a wooden boat and visit the floating markets. You'll be able to stop and get some fresh pineapples, bananas, coconut water, and other exotic fruits. For the cruise lovers, our new 4-star Victoria Mekong ship, it sails between Vietnam and Cambodia either 4 or 5 days, and it is the greenest ship on the Mekong as well. But on board, you'll really get to try a lot of the local fresh produce along the Mekong. One of our favourites that we serve on board is the deep fried fish, but you can jump off onto a little local boat and go to the floating markets to get some fresh fruit as well while you're on there. Into Cambodia. So we are extremely excited to announce that as of 2 days ago, Cambodia is officially open to fully vaccinated Aussie travellers without the need to quarantine on arrival. except for the Aussie states that aren't quite open yet on quarantine back into Australia, but for New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT, you can travel freely. They are doing exceptionally well with having vaccinated almost 90% of the population, although you won't be able to enter by cruise. You'll need to enter by flight. You won't be able to enter through the Mekong cruise. The Khmer people are a Cambodian ethnic group, and they comprise over 90% of the country's 17 million people. The history of the Khmer food is written in their food. A typical meal consists of at least 3 or 4 separate dishes with an element of sweet, sour, salty and bitter sauce. Many dishes and sauces are influenced by the neighbouring country of Thailand, as well as stir-frying techniques from China, and then some influence from the curry spices from India, which will, help to create some of their cuisine. There are traces of French cuisine in Cambodia from when Cambodia was part of French Indochina. In many Michelin star restaurants around the world, a type of pepper from Kampot in Cambodia is found. It is considered to be one of the best peppers in the world. We'll take you here to learn all about the cultivation and the production of the Kampot pepper, and as well you'll find a really peaceful pepper farm tour in the lush countryside. It's a really special experience. In the neighbouring country of Laos, it's not quite open yet, but we are expecting signs of movement soon, following the lead from Cambodia and Thailand. Lao cuisine has many regional variations, due in part to the fresh foods local to each region, and also the historical migrations. It's very herbaceous, vegetable heavy, and they make ample use of a lot of the bitter flavours. On our tours, we'll take you among the Hmong villages, which is, the most authentic Lao cuisine that you can find, and you really get a taste for the difference of influences from the neighbouring countries. Much like Cambodia, you'll also find that Lao cuisine has a strong French influence due to their occupation of the land. It's quite apparent in the capital city of Vientiane, where baguettes, filter coffee and pate sandwiches are sold on the street, and French restaurants are common. So you'll see a lot through Southeast Asia that there is influence from European countries from the times that they were there, and you'll also see that a lot in the architecture as well around the cities. Thailand. So Thailand, we're super excited, is officially open, but it is subject to certain restrictions. So it's not our green list destination yet, because on arrival you do need to still have a night in a mandatory in an approved hotel by the government, but it's almost quarantine free. They're not referring to it as quarantine, but until you're able to travel there freely, it won't be on our green list. But if you are looking for a private or tailor-made tour, you can definitely go there, and we can organise those nights in the property for you. Our favourite places to sample food are in one of the very, very many markets throughout Thailand. Much like Vietnam, Thai food is extremely different depending on the area that you're in. Northern Thai food is quite mild. It's not too salty, sweet, sour or spicy. Central Thai food is very, very fresh and rich in nutrients, as there's a lot throughout the area. And southern Thailand is quite spicy because you've got the influence from India, China and Malaysia, and Indonesian spices as well. So at the local markets, you'll really get a taste and see the different types of foods from each region. Thailand is also renowned for its hill tribes and tea plantations. They have some incredible teas in Thailand, places such as Mai Salong Mountain. You can travel here by truck into the plantation and sample the local tea and visit rural areas, which will take you to on our tours. Malaysia is not open yet, but it is expected to complete 80% of its vaccination of its population by February 2022, which is a good sign that it might be opening soon, although we don't have anything set in stone. Borneo's food is a really delicious mix of Malay, Chinese and also Indian cuisine, as well as the customary dishes enjoyed by the local tribes around all throughout Malaysia. Kuching and Kota Kinabalu both have vibrant street food scene. Bear with me. There we go. And yeah, in the street food, you'll be able to get some of the quite common foods like roti, laksa, and nasi lemak. And then here you'll also get introduced to the local spices as well. We'll take you on a spice food tour. As you'll be traveling through quite a few smaller villages throughout Borneo, the tribes are renowned for making use of native ingredients, and a lot of them are believed to have healing properties. So when you're traveling through these villages, you'll get a lot of different flavors and that are locally grown spices as well. Fish and exotic fruits and vegetables are quite common throughout the villages, and the different ethnic mixes of people in the areas means that the food is just never repetitive. There's always different flavor combinations and cooking styles from each place you go to. And I'm sure everyone's heard the great news that Singapore is good to go. For double vax travellers, there is no quarantine required in Singapore. We do have a Singapore deal that we'll be announcing shortly for the attendees today. But you can fly on specific flights to Singapore, and it's good to go. So Singapore is a bit of a gateway into the rest of Southeast Asia. So I think we'll start to see more Southeast Asian countries opening up as well. So located at the tip of the Malaysian Peninsula, Singapore has an incredible blend of the East and the West. It has Chinese, Malay, European influences. The markets there, you'll be able to find absolutely every type of cuisine possible. You have Hong Kong wet markets and malls of Chinatown, and also the streets of Little India in Singapore. So there's really no shortage of different foods that you can try. This is one of my favorite experiences, but for a really local experience, you can visit some of Singapore's famous hawker markets, also known as hawker centres. So these are huge food courts where the locals love to eat, and you can get fresh, delicious food, and it's very, very cheap. It's excellent value food. There's a lot of vegan and vegetarian options out there as well. Some of Singapore's most celebrated dishes in these markets especially include chicken rice, chili crab, and fish head curry, and of course the famous ice cream sandwiches. And if you haven't tried one, a Singapore sling you'll be able to find all throughout, which is an incredible cocktail. Singapore really inhabits all the different ethnic groups that inhabit the land, but has a local twist. And finally, the Philippines. It is not open yet, but they have made the first steps to sort of opening by reducing the mandatory quarantine from 14 days to 7 days. So I think in early 2022, we might see the Philippines start to open up. The cuisine here is quite an incredible mix of, it's got a bit of Chinese and Spanish influence to it. But it's obviously got its unique Filipino twist. Because Spain controlled the Philippines so early for so long, they were a massive influence to the food culture and architecture in places such as Vian in the Philippines. But of course, as you travel around the local islands, you'll find other fresh produce and food, particularly seafood around. Some of our favourite dishes that are worth trying, aside from the tasty curries and seafood, is lechon, which is a suckling pig, and that's mainly found in Cebu. And then you've got machando, which is a beef dish as well. So now that wraps up our little foodie adventure around Southeast Asia. I hope you learned a thing or two, but as always, if you have any questions, do let us know. But I'm handing over back to Paula for our infamous trivia.
Thanks, Bex. That was awesome. Really love seeing the food options around Asia, and it truly is one of those places that you can go and eat for next to nothing and have an amazing meal, or you can spend a fortune and also have an amazing meal as well. It is just one of the best places in the world to go and eat. And I do remember being on that scooter tour round Saigon and eating snails on the doorstep of a local's house as well. Just amazing. Behind me actually is my favorite restaurant in Saigon. As you can see, it literally is in the back street but I had the most amazing fish that came out of those tanks that you can see behind me. So sometimes you just got to walk around the corner and see what you can find, and it truly is amazing. Okay, so now it's time to test your knowledge or see if you also have the useless facts that I have in my brain as I put these quizzes together. We have prizes. So we have 3 prizes for the first, second and third. At the end, you will be able to choose whether to have a Asian snack box to you, or an amazing cookbook of 101 Asian dishes you need to cook before you die. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to ask you a question. There will be a poll that comes up on your screen. Just click the answer you think is right. You'll have about 10 seconds per question to answer. We'll move on to the next question. And then at the end, I'll send all of the answers over to Liz to mark, and I'll go through the answers with you. So we will get started straight away. I'm just going to move myself away here so I can move on. So question number 1. What noodles are used in traditional Vietnamese soup pho?
And if you've been on one of our shows before and you've done our infamous quiz or Paul's infamous trivia, some of the questions Paul might get you on. So you have to be really think about some of these answers. And also some of them won't have been in my presentation. So it's a real, might be a difficult question.
Okay, that's good. You all did very well there. It looks so second question. Name the main spirit used in the famous Raffles Hotel's Singapore Sling. Now, if any of you get a chance, do head up to the Long Bar. It's just been refurbished. The whole of Raffles has been refurbished. You can even do a course on how to make these drinks as well, and it really is quite a lot of fun. And they don't restrict the alcohol there. You can measure as much as you like in your glass. So it's a really kind of fun experience to have there. It looks like most of you have actually done one of those before. So we will go on to question number 3. So what is the traditional meat used in a Chinese barbecue bun? So I think I'm starting off with some easy questions here by the looks of it. I think most of you guys that are on today know your Asian food really well. So I may have to start getting a little bit more tricky for you. I do like pork buns. They're one of those ones that you can eat on the street quite easily because they are steaming hot. And a little tip for you all when you're walking around and eating street food, go for the stuff that is absolutely steaming hot and avoid anything that's just lukewarm, and then you should be all fine with any problems with food poisoning or anything there for you. Okay, question number 4. This is a long one. Lord Stowell's Bakery in Macau is known to be the creator of the Macanese Portuguese egg tart, dating back over 30 years. How many tarts does the bakery produce on average every day? Now, that's a tricky one. Now, quite interestingly, you see from this picture, on the left-hand side is a Portuguese tart, on the right-hand side is a Macanese Portuguese tart. So the difference is that they do the kind of creme brulee topping there. They just catch the top, so you get that nice little bit of color and caramelization there for you. Or
One of my favorite foods. One's not enough.
No, 2's not enough either. Okay, question number 5. 1 in 6 bags of rice worldwide is produced in the delta of which river? I mean, it's quite stunning, really, how much rice is produced. If you think how much rice you get through, 1 in 6 bags comes from this river. Hopefully, you'll all get this one mainly right. Just so you know, all of the rivers there, the Yangtze, Lee, Mekong, and Irrawaddy, we have had tours and cruises that go on these rivers. They all have something special about them. So if you do like getting on a river boat, there's lots of options for you through Southeast Asia as well. Okay, halfway there now. So we get a bit tricky now in the second half. La Ped is the national dish of Laos. What minced meat is traditionally used for this dish in Laos? Well, I can see that's got people thinking there. There was definitely a pause when that one went through. Now, I didn't actually have a picture of this, but I did have one of the great food markets in Singapore that you can pretty much go around and find any kind of Asian cuisine in there and spend about $5 and have a great feed there as well. That really has split you all, that one. That's going to help us find a winner, I think, at the end there. Okay, question number 7. Now, I hope you were all watching the video because the answer was in the video from Lizzie in Vietnam. Vietnamese egg coffee that tastes like liquid tiramisu uses what type of milk? And it truly is divine. It is really strange how these hot countries, they tend to like their hot drinks as well. Just like India drinking lots of tea, and China. It is actually quite refreshing, however hot it is in the day, to have one of these drinks. Gives you that hit as well. I think most of you know the answer to that one. That is awesome. I will come back over and tell you the answers at the end as well. Now, this one is one of my favorite trivia. What is the town of Skuon in Cambodia known for eating? Is it scorpions, bats, tarantulas, or snakes? Now, we're all being told that it's a great protein source for us in the future as insects. Luckily, they usually make it into powder and you can just add it into anything. But certainly, if you're daring, you can pretty much try any kind of animal, insect, or vegetable over in Asia as well. So always a fun one to go out and test your friends on. Another one that's split a lot of people there. We're now getting towards the end, so hopefully a few of you are going to be really lucky and get some nice treats sent to you as well. So, question number 9. What is the national dish of Thailand? Is it the tom yum soup? Is it the pad thai? Is it the red curry, or is it fried rice? And am I trying to trick you? Lots of questions there, but we're getting through there. That's really good. Well done, everybody there. Okay, we will move on. Just 3 more questions to go. This always amazes me in Tokyo, the price of tuna. The most expensive tuna fish weighed 278 kilograms. What price did it sell for in USD? A few jumping around here. It's looking good. The fish markets, which have just been moved in Tokyo, are all brand new now. So it's there is the traditional old area where you've still got some of the restaurants there, but the new fish markets are all open in Tokyo now. So it's a great new destination to go and visit as well once you're down there. Okay, we're on to the penultimate question. What is the main difference between Korean sushi, gimbap, and Japanese sushi? Is it there's no fish in Korean sushi? They use a different kind of rice in Japan. There's no wasabi in Korean sushi, or you don't eat Korean sushi with chopsticks. Now, what you're seeing on screen there is actually a cake my wife made for my daughter who loves sushi. So that is all actually cake mixtures, sweets, Rice Krispies, and stuff like that. So I didn't have a great picture of real sushi, so I went to my bank of and saw what I could find there for you as well. Excellent. We are now on to the last question. This could be make it or break it by the looks of everything. A lot of you have done really well. So chili crab is one of Singapore's most famous dishes. It was created by accident by adding a bottle of chili sauce to the stir fry instead of what ingredient? An interesting fact, the person that did this actually has in 1984 emigrated to New Zealand after selling the business of their original chili crab business. So a little Antipodean connection that we've got there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through the answers. So what noodles are used in pho? The answer, it was in the video, it is flat rice noodles. So there was some of you that went for vermicelli, and to be honest, this picture was put up there to do a bit of a little bit of trickery. They do look like vermicelli in that one, so I do apologize. That's me being cheeky. Most of you got this one right. I think it was 90% of you got this one right. The main spirit used in Singapore slings is gin. So Singapore slings were designed for women to be able to drink where men drink, but it looked like they were drinking a soft drink. But if you know the ingredients to a Singapore sling, much better to drink the Singapore sling than a low alcohol beer if you want to enjoy that night with all the boring men talking about business and stuff when in the day that they came out. Okay, I gave this away in the answer. It is pork, the famous Chinese barbecue pork bun there. So they are absolutely divine. And it was 13,000 Portuguese custard tarts, egg tarts are produced by Lord Stow's Bakery every single day, which is quite amazing to think that they are being churned out so much. And I tell you, there's a bakery on every corner in Macau and Hong Kong producing egg tarts. They really are a firm favorite over there. Okay, you think you've all got this right. Maybe a couple said the Yangtze. Yangtze does produce a huge amount of rice as well, but it is the Mekong River, the Mekong Delta. They produce 6 bags of every bag of rice in the world comes from the Mekong Delta, which is also known as the rice bowl of the world. Okay, lab ped, the national dish of Laos. It is duck that they mince up in their national dish traditionally. Now in Thailand, they use a lot more pork, and also you will get chicken and fish in other places, but it was duck was the answer we were looking for. Again, this one was in the video. We had a bit of debate because there are 2 types of Vietnamese coffee. Both actually do use condensed milk, but down in the south, they drink it on ice. Up in the north, they have it with the egg as well as the condensed milk, and it's nice and warm as well. So it was condensed milk was the answer to that one there for you. Okay, this one is really interesting. So Skuon is known as the spider town. So they do eat tarantulas there in a big way. It really started under the Khmer Rouge when there was a huge shortage and a famine in Cambodia. Skuon is just north of Phnom Penh, the capital city there, and close to the area of the killing fields. So they didn't have a lot of food. They also happened to have an outbreak of a huge amount of tarantulas taking over the town. So they got creative, and now they still fry up their big tarantulas, and you can try them when you're there. It really is quite an amazing sight to see a plate full of tarantulas on your table.
That's my worst nightmare.
Apparently the hairs do burn off in the frying, so tastes like chicken apparently. And what is the national dish of Thailand? It is pad thai. So the answer is in the question is in the answer. The answer is in the question. It was created for the royal palace for an exhibition, and they put the word Thai in there to make it the national dish. This was interesting. It is 3 million US dollars. It's actually 3.1 million. I just rounded down a little bit, for the most expensive tuna fish sold in the world. So let's get out in our boats and throw out a line, see what we can find. There's money to be made in those waters. The main difference between Korean sushi is that they don't have wasabi. They actually use a chili paste rather than a horseradish paste that they use in Japan. Everything else is pretty much the same. They do use a few more pickled vegetables within there, but it's the same rice. They do use chopsticks, although their chopsticks are usually metal rather than wooden, but the main difference is they do not have wasabi with their sushi. And then we have got the last question, chili crab. It was tomato sauce that was accidentally, they used chili sauce instead of tomato sauce, which started the craze of the chili crab. Now, if any of you haven't had a chili crab, do next time you're in Singapore, go to a chili crab restaurant. Make sure you don't wear clothes that you need to keep tidy, because you will get chili on you, but they are the most delicious crustaceans to eat there. And that brings me to the end of the quiz. So we look forward to seeing some of you on our tours soon, but me and Bec will carry on being here to try and inspire and give you a little bit of fun. I hope you've enjoyed today. We're going to sign off now, and we look forward to seeing most of you again for our Christmas party, so we can wish you all a big, very Merry Christmas. So that's it from us today.
Yes, and hopefully by next month as well, we'll have more countries on our green list as well. So very exciting times ahead.
Cool.
But thank you everyone for joining, and
Thank you very much.
soon.